Hello everyone, I'm here with Yasin, and what did you do today?
I managed to break my own record and get back-to-back Crystron YCS tops, which means that not only am I the only human on Earth who managed to top a YCS twice with Crystron, but also I'm the only one who managed to top 3 times with Crystron. So yeah, I'm extremely proud of myself. I'm super happy. This is by far the best weekend of my life because obviously it also coincides with my milestone of 100k subscribers. So again, I couldn't be happier. This is completely unreal. And yeah, this deck is extremely fun. Like I explained on the post that I've made before, I maybe I should have never betrayed in the first place. The reason why I played Reizo Mitsurugi at Rhode Island is because I really did believe like it was the best deck, and I still believe that Reizo Mitsurugi is a better deck than Crystron, but to me Crystron is like, it has sentimental value. And I feel like I played this deck very well, whereas with Reizo Mitsurugi I feel like maybe I'm not too great. I'm not good enough. So yeah, I wanted to go with something that I'm comfortable with, something that I enjoy, especially in a really wild format like this one where there's so much variance that you might as well just have a good time and play the deck that you enjoy. And yeah, exactly as I said, I played Crystron. I also have been sponsored by my boy Team Samurai X1. Look at this beautiful merch, man. Beautiful deck box, beautiful playmat. Of course, you already know it. I have been using this deck box as well as the playmat for the whole YCS, which obviously is the reason why I went undefeated on day one. I was 7-0. It's all thanks to the playmat. It has been scientifically proven that increases the likelihood of drawing the nuts. And like I said, it definitely didn't disappoint. So you guys are more than welcome to check out tsx1.com and use the coupon code YACIN10 for 10% off. Huge shout out to Supreme Pro. They are the best. And also, huge shout out to my Crystron spreadsheet, which you can get on my website, yacineygo.com. For only $20 US, you will have access to 53 combos. And of course, when the K9 cards will come out, I will also be updating the spreadsheet with K9 Crystron combos. So yeah, with that being said, let's get right into it. And also a huge shout out to all my friends and humans. Shout outs to Chris Urina, shout outs to you, and so shout outs to everyone.
Let's go.
Shout outs to the oxygen that we all breathe every single day. But yeah.
Show us the goo, bro.
Exactly. All right. So first things first. Also shout outs to Steven Santoli. Double Tristalos, and then Prastiorol, Citri, Thesvern, and then triple Smiger. So these are all of the smaller Crystron monsters. This is like a ratio that I've kind of like came up with on my own, like in December or January. I just realized that Prastiorol is needed. A lot of people say that it's not. This is not true. If you don't play with Prastiorol, there are a lot of combos that just do not work. Like for example, the lines where you have like Sofnir and Smiger, you won't be able to beat like an Imperm anymore. And stuff like that. It's just like really weird combos where this card allows you to just not only have like better follow-up, because like sometimes you have like way too many Crystron cards in your hand and you actually want to summon them from the hand, but you're kind of limited in your options. But also it's just like it's just another name. So it's like worst case scenario, like you pop itself and then you summon Tristalos and then that can bridge into your engine next turn. So yeah, there's really just no drawback to playing Prastiorol. Just a really good card, and everything else is mandatory, so I'm not even going to bother explaining why they're that way. And also, for the love of God, stop playing 3 Tristalos. People suck at deck building, I swear to God. Double Sulfidol and triple Sulfnir. This is another ratio that is just kind of like set in stones. There is just no way to make this better, because these combos with less cards than this, because with this, like if you discard, like, for example, one of these cards, you can actually beat a hand shop, whereas if you destroy like this or this with this, and you have no other Crystron card, you actually lose to any hand shop. Like, you lose to Ash, you lose to Valor Imperm, whatever. So yeah, this card is just like better into hand shops, and yeah, you need to play 5 level 5s anyways. Otherwise, like when you use like the graveyard effect of Tristalos, you're gonna summon 2 level 5s for the deck, and you always want to have like one leftover level 5 in your deck so that your Tristalos on the opponent's turn can summon another 5 so that you can make Dragster or Quarren Gaunt Drax. So that's yeah, just like it's non-negotiable. Like if you play less than 5 level 5s, your deck just doesn't make any sense. And then obviously Foolish Burial, Triple Inclusion, and then the 1 cluster, so that's 7 1-card starters. In a 41 card deck, by the way, because I've been playing with sub-engine that I do not necessarily approve of, and you'll see this in just a second. I have ditched the Kashtira cards and played the Horus engine instead. And now you might be thinking, but Yaxine, these cards were really good in Steven Santoli's hands. So what gives? Like, why am I not a big fan of these cards? Okay, look, maybe it's anecdotal evidence, maybe it doesn't actually count, but my RNG with these cards has been like really bad. I've tracked that I drew Duamuta 5 times in the YCS in literally 9 rounds that I played, And then I drew, yeah, because one of the rounds I didn't play. And then I came like 15 minutes late. And then and then Happy, I drew 4 times. I drew Sark, I think 4 or 5 times, and I drew Imseti, I think 5 or 6 times. So I drew these cards like 9 times in total. And my game 1 of top 32, my hand was like these 3 cards, 0 hand traps going second, and 2 Crystron cards. I was like, okay, if my opponent doesn't brick, I have to scoop. And my opponent's first action was Mitsurugi Prayers. I'm like, wow, I literally lost the game in like less than 5 seconds. And game 3 was actually kind of similar. I only had 2 hand traps, the Droll got caught by the Grave, and the Dominus Impulse, there you go, I kind of spoiled it. It didn't do anything because my opponent's hand was also very, very good. So yeah, it is what it is. The Horus engine was abysmal, it just doesn't do enough. And also the bricks, it's like the main problem actually. These cards, all they really do is like Zombie Vampire or like Beat Sticks that is just like I keep on the field. Imseti's like best application today was really just baiting hand traps and drawing a card. It's kind of sad, but that's all it really did for me.
Would you play it again or no? Like
Hell freaking no, I'm throwing this to the garbage, actual garbage. Again, huge shoutouts to Steven Santoli. He's the GOAT with the Horus engine. He likes them, and I definitely can see why. But I genuinely believe that there were better options. First of all, I would like to say that I think the Kishira engine is still better. That was the engine that allowed me to get the 2 first stops. But I think there's another engine that is worth considering, and it's the Millennium engine. So I'm going to make some videos on that very soon. For the hand traps, 6 Chummies, as well as 3 Droll and 3 Ash. It's kind of like an FTK format, so if you draw like the fair hand traps, the odds of winning are like super, super low. And also, if you go first and you have Droll, this is where you actually win the game, because it's very difficult to like crack a board and play under Droll going second. But yeah, this card, when you are going second, even if you resolve it, like you still have to deal with like half boards that can be annoying enough, like Detonator, which is very frustrating. And then yeah, Pearlia, Fua, it's no brainer. Obviously, these cards are broken. And Ash is especially there to negate like the Chummies and stuff like that. It's not like a great hand trap against the opponent, but it's good against the Mitsurugi cards. Like, obviously, it stops Saji from searching the ritual spell, which is always cool. So yeah, 12 hand traps, probably would have played Imperm if I had the space. Like I said, this is a 41 card deck, so the 41st card is called by the Grave. And then 3 Forbidden Droplet. Just before people ask, like, is Forbidden Droplet a good card itself? The answer is not really. The card is kind of mediocre. There are a few games where I had Droplet in my hand, and I had a hand shot. The hand shot got called by the Grave, and I scooped the game immediately because my opponent has full combo, and my only like way to break the board is with Droplet, but it's clearly just not enough. So it's just, yeah, it's. Yeah,
would you keep playing the same non-engine, or would you change anything?
Like I said, I'd probably play Imperm. That's
Imperm
pretty much it.
Forward? Okay.
Yeah.
What would you cut?
Definitely cutting the Horus engine, which is like 7 cards, play something that is like more compact, and yeah, just hope that it works out, because even though I went undefeated like on day 1, so it's not like the deck performed like bad. It's just that I felt like I was playing like pure Crystron when I was winning, because the Horus cards they weren't either they weren't resolving, or like I was drawing the bricks instead of drawing the good cards. So that's the real issue.
Let's see the extra deck.
Yeah. So for the extra deck, Clockwork Knight and SP, of course. I never used Clockwork Knight's effect this tournament. I don't know why, but yeah, it's weird because like the YCS Mexico City, the effect came up twice. Because yeah, it also has a Monster Reborn effect, and it's pretty good. And SP obviously is always a GOAT. Very easy to summon in this deck. And also outs like Baguskas and stuff like that, even though like Baguska is not an issue. 2 level 5, so Chanbara, Hagoita. Hagoita is there because sometimes your hand is like really bad, and like you still need like a way for you to not only like make it so that you have no monsters, like no cards on your own field, so that if you go first and you draw Chummy, you can actually use the Chummy, because you go like Tristalos, summon like a 3, you summon a Hagoita, and then you go Hagoita effect, increase the level of like Ice and like Sword Raziel by 1, so that your opponent cannot exceed summon with them, and then you have no cards on your field, so that you can start using your Chummies. And then if your opponent summons an X Raziel, then he can't search because there's now, you know, non-level 4 monsters on the field. So it's pretty much like a main deck Mischief of the Gnomes. So obviously this card is great, and this card is an OTK tool. And yes, it does come up, by the way. So if you think that you can win without this card, it's definitely going to make your life much harder. There are certain situations where your opponent has a lot of follow-up, like the Mitsurugi deck, but it doesn't have, you know, real interruptions. It's just like, it's going to play if you let them survive, but if you play a card like this, then you don't have to deal with it. So yeah, this is much better than playing the garbage cards like Amateurix and And yeah, that's pretty much it. That's the only level 5 that people are playing. Double-headed Skeletas, obviously, the second one comes up in the grinds. 2 Dragsters. And I think like one really good way of like really knowing who knows how to play this deck or not, people's like philosophy on the second Dragster. A lot of people say that it's not needed, and this is where I can tell that people just have not checked out my spreadsheet, because this card actually comes up in like half of the combos, like the second copy, and it's not a win more. It's not a win more at all. It's not like some of the other cards in my extra deck. The second one is like sometimes the main reason why you win games, and you can like properly synchro summon. Well, obviously you legitimately synchro summon the first one, and then you make the second one on the opponent's turn like Citri or Tristalos. And it's very good against the board breaker decks because triple tactic talents is a really big card. Against Christian Urena, I got hit by that card multiple times in the match, so it would have been nice if shout out to Chris, obviously. But yeah, no, it would have been nice if I could actually like make this more often. But yeah, 2 copies is way more than enough. And also Clockwork Knight can revive it back from the grave because it has 0 attack. It doesn't have like question mark attack, so that's really cool. Samurai Destroyer, obviously for Nibiru, it has like other applications. Like sometimes you have cluster face down, and then your opponent has like whatever detonator, and then like your first action is that you synchro summon for Samurai Destroyer. You go battle phase attack, and then on attack declaration you go cluster destroy detonator, and then the detonator dies because it's negated and your opponent cannot respond. So that's like a really cool play that you can do. Samurai Destroyer is just like a really intricate card, and in this deck it's really unique how you can use both effects. So it's actually a cooler card than Intent Buy, whereas all it really does is like prevent the opponent from like floating. So yeah, fantastic card for sure. Koran Gondrax, obviously this is unfair. It's like impossible to lose the game if you summon this card. This is like the best monster in the deck. And then obviously Infinity Nova. Yeah, the only way like Infinity, like you can lose if you summon Infinity is like when your opponent like its first action is like summon X-Raziel. Because if it's like Bonfire 7 Tachyon, then you got Dragster to negate it. But yeah, X-Raziel very specifically, it's really infuriating because then it's like they start chain blocking and it will always negate the Infinity. Yeah, this card I never summoned. IJ Jimir Ajman. The issue with this card is that it's not a machine. So if you want to summon this card, you have to like make it pretty much very, very early on your combo, because you will also be locked into machines like super, super early. And if you summon this card way too early, then you're also summoning your Horus monsters too early, which means that you're playing into Nib for no good reason, and you're just like sequencing your play worse. I get that this card is really good to have in your graveyard, and it's very good into Malice, that is very true, because it prevents the opponent from like banishing your stuff, but it's a lot of theory that doesn't actually translate to practice. So it's like this card is just not needed whatsoever. I've never even considered summoning this card, even though again, it's a great card on paper, it's broken, but it's just that it's never something that I want to summon. Ironically, this probably could have been Photon Lord and it would have been better, but the Zombie Vampire is just, it's equally as good, because if your first action is Zombie Vampire and you activate its effect, people are hand trapping this regardless of like what your hand is. Against like Christian Urena, what I did is that I had Sarcophagus, double Fua, and like an actual good hand I could play. So I just pretended like my hand was bad, so I went to activate Sarcophagus, Foolish, 2 Horus monsters by discarding the 2 Fuas, and then I made Zombie Vampire effect, and I hope that he hand traps it, and he did. And then I'm like, okay, normal summon Smiger, SP, blah blah blah, and then play from there. And yeah, this is absolutely how you can win. Like this is basically Photon Lord in the sense where you can force out interactions from your opponent. So yeah, and also you need to play this card. But like I said, the Millennium Engine can play Zombie Vampire anyway, so it's not like it's exclusive to the Horus. And obviously Typhon, which is broken. I only summoned it once actually, and again against Chris. So yeah, shout outs to the boy. For the side deck, triple Meows. It's supposed to be there for Malice and Memento, but I played 0 Malice and I played 1 Malice and I played 0 Memento. That's kind of a weird experience, but I'm not complaining. Triple Lancia. Yeah, I mean, it doesn't come up against a lot of decks, really, just Malice and Crystron. And then, okay, this was actually very interesting. Dominus Impulse. This was easily one of the more unique handshots that I played, because on paper, it locks you really hard. Like, you can't use Dragster Infinity when you use Impulse, but even worse is that you also can't use Samurai Destroyer to float. So in other words, like, you don't have Infinity to negate Nibiru, and you also don't have Samurai Destroyer to, like, recover from it. So if you use Impulse, then you're always losing to Nibiru every single time. So you have to use this in a really crafty way and like time it perfectly where you believe that this card will not hinder you at all. And also you have to like sequence your plays to like not lose to Nibiru, and like I said, play very differently because you also can't make Dragster Infinity, which are great cards. So there are a lot of drawbacks, I'm not gonna lie. If you set the card, so if you go first and you draw it, it has no drawbacks because it only locks you when you use it from the hand. but it's one of those situations where I think the cons outweigh the pros, and you should probably still consider side decking it if you have like enough experience with like playing this deck as like an actual pure Crystron deck, if that makes any sense. Because if you're relying on like the same extra deck cards all the time to win, it's just not gonna work out. This deck adds a lot of complexity to your deck. It forces you to like rely on like other options, and yeah, like I said, very complicated card. That's the reason why I don't recommend everyone to play it, but you should at least like test it out and see for yourself. If the drawback pisses you off, then stop playing it, I guess. And also, I was always like siding out the Horus cards when I was bringing this in, except against Malice, but also didn't really matter too much. 3 Imperm. It feels kind of weird side decking Imperm because the card is like very fair, and in theory it could have been like Dark Ruler and stuff like that, but it wouldn't translate correctly with my siding patterns. It just really whack, because then like I have like 6 chummies to side out going first with like 3 Forbidden Droplet, and like this is better than a Forbidden Droplet when I go first because it doesn't actually have a cost. So it's pretty much, you usually with Droplet you're only negating 1 monster effect when you're going first anyways. It's only when you're going second that you start discarding a bunch of cards. But yeah, Imperm was alright for me. I didn't draw it too often, unfortunately, and I wish I could have actually drawn it like off of my chummies to like negate my opponent's Duo Drive and Detonator, but no, wasn't the case. And yeah, I pretty much sided this in like almost every single game, and yeah, I still didn't see it too often. But yeah, still a good card. And then finally, Magnamut, Jewizworm, and Talent. I drew Talent 0 times, and I kept siding it in going first. My opponents drew Talents like numerous times against me, like 5-6 times, and I wasn't drawing it at all, so that's a interesting experience. And then Magnamut and Jewizworm, I believe I drew both of them once each. I know for a fact that I drew Magnamut once, and Jewizworm, maybe I drew it twice, so I can't really say that they were great or bad or anything. Like I said, weird tournament experience, because it wasn't like a lot of rounds, since like I played the first 7 rounds. I knew I was locked in for top cut because there's 9 rounds of Swiss. Round 8 didn't matter, and then round 9 I was like, okay, I can come like 15 minutes late and I'm fine. But I also learned that if you are way too late, like you can actually get dropped from the event, so please don't be as stupid as me and don't do that. Yeah.
Would you make any changes to your side deck?
Like if I can main deck the Imperm, that would be nice, so that I would have like more space and I could actually play like dedicated going first cards. Because Reizo Mitsurugi, when I look at their side deck and their main deck and stuff, it's like, bro, must be nice, man. They can main deck freaking 16, 17 on engine or something, and then they can also side in like Solemn Warning, Strike, or Judgment. I wish I could do that. Like I still have to have like way too many going second cards. Matter of fact, in my 41 card deck, I played 24 non-engine post game 1 going second against Reizo Mitsurugi. And I still feel like it's not enough, because sometimes like you're drawing 2 hand shops, but it doesn't mean that you're hand shopping your opponent twice, because you would like I said, I got called by the grave like numerous times. I got hit by talents numerous times. So very often like I was losing my second hand shop, or like, you know, I draw 3 hand shops or I draw 2 hand shops and then only one of them resolves. It happens very often. Like I draw a chummy, pretty much a 50-50 shot against Ashed or Caldbide. So you realistically have to draw 3 hand shops if you want to hurt your opponent twice, and if you only hurt your opponent once, it's never enough. Like decks this format are too powerful, too resilient, so you basically just need to rely on like hand shops turbo. Like you're clearly not cracking boards just with engine, and I feel like this is like one of my biggest problems right now. So yeah, if I can just like main more hand shops, you know, like minimize on like the sub engine. Like I said, the Horus engine, the problem is that there's 7 cards in it, and 2 of them are bricks, the Duamutef and Happy. So yeah, I would change that, absolutely. So please, for the love of God, do not net deck this deck. It's not gonna work. Play without the Horus cards. I will be making an updated deck list very soon, so don't worry, guys. And yeah, I'm also gonna make like a recap on like my tournament experience and everything. Obviously, this is a deck profile, so you know I'm still like kind of like I'm still like under. I'm still kind of hyped with everything that happened. You know, I didn't really digest everything, right? It's still like the same day, but. Yeah, like I said, good deck, whatever. I'm not complaining too much. I only lost like 2 rounds realistically, so and also I didn't get 2-0'd. I never got 2-0'd a single time with Crystron. This deck is so incredibly good that you're at least always taking like 1 game out of your opponent. And if your opponent is, you know, he misplays like once, then you can actually just make a huge comeback. This deck is just incredibly good. And I think it really rewards like good technical play, good grind game, and also good deck building. So yeah, it's a fantastic deck. And again, the fact that I topped 3 YCSs back to back with the deck, I think speaks volume on how, you know, rewarding it is if you really invest the time and effort. But like I said, you can learn even more about this deck using, if you check out my Crystron spreadsheet. Again, I keep plugging it in, but it's because I really do believe in it, and I really do believe in this deck, of course. Otherwise, I wouldn't play it in 3 different continents, right? Australia, freaking North America, and South America. I'm just missing Europe at this point, and then we're basically just, we would have topped like a YCS in like every continent out there. Yeah, that's it for this video, guys. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys very, very soon with another video. Peace.